Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you some different things that you can do in Canvas using subtraction and welding and splitting, some different things. So first we're going to go into our basic shapes and we're going to get a rectangle. And we're going to bring a rectangle over here and we are going to make it about that size. Okay, you can go into the properties by clicking here and you can actually size it to the exact size that you want, width and length, and you can maintain the aspect ratio, which means that if you enlarge it in length, it will also enlarge it in width. Or if you uncheck that box, you can do it so that you get it exactly the size you want. But we'll work with this size right now. And then we're also going to use the back button, and then we're going to come over and get a border. And we're going to come down here and get this leaf border. And you can either drag it over, or like in this instance, I double clicked on it and brought it over. So these are the two items we're going to work with. And so we're going to duplicate this one more time. And we're going to move them, the other two, out here, out of our workspace, and we're going to duplicate this one as well. And one more time. And we'll put this one over here and this one here. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how to weld two together. And so we're going to take this and we're going to put it right along the edge here. And we're going to decrease its size so it's exactly the same length, just like that, okay? So then you're going to take and select both of these. You're going to right click and you're going to weld. And as you can see, it melded the two together. Okay? And so that way you get an edge. And so if you're making this for a card or something, you can actually rotate this over and then resize it and make it 5.5. Let's see, actually this way would be 4 1/4. Let's get rid of the aspect ratio and make this 5.5, which is standard card size. So there's that one. So the next one we're going to do is we'll bring this one in over here and this one as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to subtract this. And so we're going to cut this border out of this rectangle. So we'll drag this down and put it inside. Now in this case, because we're cutting it out of it, it needs to be smaller than the one itself. Okay, so I'm going to select both of them and then move them up here. And I'm going to make sure that the border that we're going to be cutting out is on top. So when I clicked right over the top of this, you'll see that it came up with this rectangle. So I'm going to right click and send that to the back. So now when I click on this leaf, this is the one that is going to be on top. So now that we've got that on top, then we will select them both, right click and choose subtract. So now what you see is it looks exactly the same, except for if we go over here and we fill it, we'll fill it with blue. There you can tell exactly what's going to cut and what your paper would look like. So we'll bring that over here. Let's go ahead and bring this one back up and let's fill this one so you can see what it looks like different than that other one. Okay, so those two. Now let's work with this third one. And in this one, we're going to do a split. And what that is we're going to do a weld and subtract. We're going to weld a portion of it, but we're also going to subtract a portion of it. So in order to do that, I need to get something to split it with. And what I'm going to do is get another rectangle. And I'm going to make that rectangle longer than my border, but I'm going to make it super, super narrow. Just like that, okay? So then I'll take my border, which I want to be a little bit smaller. And I'm going to take this little guy here, and I'm going to put it right in the center over the top of that. Have that one on top. Highlight the two and do a subtract. Okay? So now what you can see, and I'm going to zoom in on this so you can really see it, it's cut right out of the dead center of this. And so now, but these are all, so they're all one piece, but we want it to be two pieces. So we're going to have to right click and divide that because we're going to want to separate it. But now what we've done is we've created all these little pieces. So this top section, I'm going to try and select just these top ones and not the bottom ones. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to group those. So now I can take those and move them separately. And then these down here, I will right click and group those. Okay, so now I'm going to bring this up. And I'm going to move this one up out of the way because I'm going to first work with this one here. So I'm going to take this one, this border, and we're going to have to make our rectangle a little bit larger than what our border is. Okay, so we're going to just have them overlap just a tad bit. Make sure that the one that is selected is well, this is welding, so it doesn't really matter. So we're going to select these two. We're going to right click and we're going to weld them. Okay, so now they've become apart. So this one we're going to bring down and line up where it goes here, just like that. And we're going to make sure that that one is still selected and then select both of them. And we're going to right click and subtract. Whoop, it didn't do it quite right. And as you can see, it's easy enough to do and undo. We want to make sure that the correct one is in front, and it must not have been. So I'm going to send that to the back and then click on here and then select again. Let's try that again, and I can do it from edit, and then this one here is subtract, and there we go. Now it doesn't look like anything, but again, as soon as we go to properties or right click and choose fill, you can see that what you're going to end up with is a border where it cuts out a portion and then leaves an outside portion. So this one is welding, this one is subtracting, and this one is a combination of welding and subtracting.